Dun, dun,
Hello, ladies, gentlemen,
dun,
and whatever else you want to call yourself.
dun, dun,
Bring
dun, dun,
back
dun, 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 dun,
Easter
dun,
bonnets.
dun, dun,
I've
dun.
decided it's fashionable. We need to bring back Easter bonnets. If nothing else, I look amazing when I'm wearing one. So we're here for news. We've been gone, and you'd be surprised how hard it was to find news.
Yeah, we don't have that many stories. Right? I don't have that many stories, Jensen. I'm sorry. I don't have that many stories.
Is what it is,
Especially
man. Is what
especially
it is.
fun stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah.
I even looked for you guys to try and find some stories.
Yeah.
There was a British story that I could have brought up,
Oh God.
but
What did we do?
it has nothing to do with you. It has to do
Oh,
with she who shall not be named.
okay. Okay.
All right. I think we probably have an idea who I'm referring to, and her
Yeah.
accusations about the press, the British press,
Oh God. Oh, okay.
the false
I sh-
accusations about the British. And that's saying something.
yeah.
That is actually saying something. The false accusations about the. I probably should do that story, shouldn't I?
Actually, why are you thinking of that? You know the actress Drew Barrymore?
Yeah.
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 She's been accused of racism.
And why is she being accused of racism?
I have no bloody idea. I was about to watch that before I saw your message. But yeah, apparently she's been accused of racism, which shocks the living hell out of me. I'll be completely honest with you.
Uh,
I've never I I just could not actually picture her doing the whole racist thing for some reason. I mean, you can say what you like about her sanity and things like that, but I just don't see her being racist. Maybe I'm missing something.
yeah. Here. Well, since I started this whole thing, I'll find this. I found the story.
Ah.
Right. And since we're gonna do that, we'll just put that on hold here. And ready?
Before you do, Matt Buckley has said the only story we need is everything's fucked. He is not wrong. We are just using different words, and that is literally it. Go for it, sir.
There you go. Meghan Markle takes aim at British media. They call my children the N word. Where? No. I'm sorry. All right. But my question is, I have never seen anywhere where the British press are calling her children the N word, let alone calling her the N word.
It's because she's not. She is a. I'm sorry for she's gonna get angry at this, but she has the skin tone of an. I mean, at the darkest, mid Spain.
All right. Well,
That's it.
okay. But my question is the press calling her the kids this?
Oh, good God, no!
All right. Have you seen any stories where she's been called this?
This is just another way for her to be seen on screen. That's it. It's literally everyone notice me, everyone look at me. That's all that is.
The, why would I give the very people who are calling my children the N word a photo of my children before I can share it with the people that love my child?
Does she know where they live? Oh, sorry. Was that a bit too cold?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I assume that she loves her children. Okay, that I do believe. I do believe that Harry and her do love their children.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, you're making an accusation, all right, that's not substantiated anywhere. Okay, you're leveling an accusation toward all these people because they don't like you for very good reasons in some regards, right? And overstated reasons in others. Okay?
Yeah.
And what's more is the problem you had. The problem, I'm sorry, Megan, but the problem you had when you tossed over this country, and I'm sorry, you decided to take a title. All right? You were no longer an American citizen. Whether you want to try and deny that or not is immaterial to me. You are no longer eligible, all right, as an American citizen. Now, no one cares from about that unless you attempt to run for office, which is something you're never gonna do.
Yeah,
Okay.
hold it there, mate. You do know that she is actually seriously considering running for president
She
of
she
your
she she is not going to run for
country.
president. She's not serious about running for president. Trust me.
I hope not. I really hope not.
She's not, and she's not going to. And she would be told that she can't do it. Okay. She took a title.
That,
She took a title from another country. That makes you a non-U.S. citizen, like it or not. But no one cares about it from that standpoint. You want to go down that road, and you want to go, Grace Kelly route. Go for it.
mhm.
Grace Kelly remained beloved in this country, right?
Yeah.
And she was beloved, whether you like it or not, in Monaco, where she frickin' became the princess or queen or whatever they have there. I don't know how that works.
I believe princess.
Okay. And the reason is she took her position seriously for that group.
Yeah.
You never did.
Hmm.
Okay. Royalty to you was just Megan was just a something that you see on a Disney film, and everyone then caters to you. It means being catered. You don't have any responsibilities. Wrong.
Yeah.
When you become a royal of a nation, okay, you are now not not just part of the elite of that nation. You are the face of that nation, and going forward, you needed to sit up there and be a leader of that nation. Now, I'm not saying you have to.
Yep.
When I say the leader, I'm saying a leader. You are one of the leading elites of the nation, which means you have to lead. You
I'm
have
gonna
to be
remind
out
you-
there.
I'm going to remind you, okay, theoretically, if anything happened to William and his family, she technically should have been queen of this country. Yes, she really needed to get on the whole understanding, ruling, and leadership thing.
Right.
Oh boy, did that not happen.
No, it didn't. And that's the problem with people like this, that they're so narcissistic that they don't think that they have any responsibilities. Now, it's a problem, and I'm pointing this out because it's a problem not just with her and dealing with the you guys in Britain, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem with our entire societies. People
Mm-hmm.
growing up today don't believe it's all about the I. It's not about their responsibilities to their fellow human beings or their fellow neighbors. They don't even think that there is a responsibility. And if you want to come down to where the problems are with a lot of this, it's this I, selfish, me mentality.
Yep.
You're not owed anything by somebody else, but you owe them something. And I'm not saying money. It's not monetary. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you owe them to live with them. You can't just be a freaking selfish jackass and expect everyone else not to treat you as you are, a freaking selfish jackass. And when you get treated that way because of what you've done, I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with skin color, race, or anything else. It has to do with the fact you're an asshole. You're an antisocial asshole.
Yep. And Sharati has actually given her opinion on said creature. Me, my, I, now. She is not wrong. That's all I ever hear when she speaks, by the way. Alright. Just, sorry, but seriously, she comes on screen and my entire reaction is, damn it, I've got to get up and turn over. Okay? That's literally it. I have no interest in anything apart from hearing the words, Harry has divorced. The moment those words are put in front, I'm all about it. Otherwise, bye.
Can you imagine a legal fight over that?
Oh, that. You know, here's an interesting question.
If there was a
now that's
divorce
been brought
between
up.
them, the legal fight over their children would be freaking. I mean, you might as well get your popcorn because it's gonna be
Yeah.
freaking bad.
No, it's better than that, dude. You got the British legal system and the American legal system. While similar, they are not the same.
Oh, not even close.
So,
So
yeah.
hopefully Harry understands that if he ever is going to declare for divorce, the first thing he has to do is do it in Britain. Grab the kids and do it in Britain.
I
Just
have
to let
actually
you
said
know,
this
Harry.
before.
Just to
I
let
have
you
said
know.
this before live, so I'm not hiding any of my words here. No, what he needs to do is take her for a drive in the Paris
No.
tunnels. I'm sure that would do the world of good.
You don't need a 45 caliber divorce. That's not what you need.
Would it work? Yes. Problem over.
Just wait a few years. Liz Cheney will be, desperate and everything, and have Megan go on a hunting accident with her. I mean, a hunting trip, rather. Oops. No, I'm not saying
It's
anything like that.
still
Look, you don't frickin' whack people or anything like that. I mean, I understand the joke nature of that, but still, it's a bit much. We shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff.
no. I actually agree. It is a very bad thing to drive her in the Paris tunnels, and really, really bad to have the SAS in the car going past, going tuk tuk tuk. That would be a really bad thing, and I totally stand against that completely. There you
You're,
go.
you're,
I've
you're,
covered
you're
us.
you're saying that our trip to Iran isn't a vacation destination for you?
No, her going to Iran is a brilliant idea. We need to send an express delivery nuke.
Yeah, I mean, go on over there.
Hey,
Hey,
look,
make a deal with Vlad, right? About Ukraine, right? Look.
you can have
We're way too.
Ukraine win
We're
nuclear.
we're gone down a dark road, and we're not there yet.
Oh yeah.
All right, because we'll get there momentarily. For those people who are here for waiting for me to rant, it's coming. All right, it's not here yet. It's coming, but we'll get to the next story before we get to that.
No
Of
worries.
all the legal threats to Trump, threats Trump is facing, this one is the one that could take him down. The
Again.
quiet workings of the Georgia grand jury hearing evidence of election fraud could represent the ex-president's greatest day. Look, guys, the fact that you even do this story on Saturday, this story was let out Saturday, tells me that your entire fiasco of trying to get him with this raid on Mar-a-Lago is going nowhere. Regardless if the New York Times screams, "We need to indict him! We need to indict." There's an indictment. What? He's not being indicted, folks. You don't have the evidence. Trust me. You don't have
They've
the
tried.
evidence. If you had the evidence of an indictment, okay, you would have indicted him while you were raiding Mar-a-Lago. You would have issued the indictment, and while he was dealing with that indictment in New York is when the raid on Mar-a-Lago would have taken place. The fact that you can't even read the redacted frickin'
Oh, have you
warrant,
seen it?
right? There were page after page is just black line after black line demonstrates, all right, of what you did. It's the same people who did the same thing using the same quote unquote justification, because their justification was, well, the press said that he had boxes from moving from the White House, and that was evidence, in your opinion, all right, that he had classified documents or was illegally hoarding documents or illegally destroying documents. What evidence do you have for any of that? None. And whether you like it or not, all right, if you are really serious about this, New York Times, and you scream, "Oh, no one is above the law," really, tell that to Hillary. Let me know when you're ready to deal with Bill with those same standards, okay? Because you never did. You never did.
No.
And you still aren't doing it. Where's Hunter Biden, and why aren't you saying the same thing about Biden? The man was selling out the country to the highest bidder. He was selling access to his office, and you stand there, and I don't care what anybody says, and you stand there going, "Oh, Trump, evil man bad, evil man bad." You can't point to anything that he's actually done that's actually harmed the country, except for you.
No.
He's harmed you,
Mm-hmm.
because you're freaking deranged. and that ain't the rant, folks. Just to let you know.
That's still coming.
Yes, it is. Well, Jensen, do you have something to say?
Well, I would like to point out something Matt has said. Those black lines are very clearly guilty. No, they're not guilty. They're racist. How dare you use lines of color when dealing with Trump? No, that's racist. That's it. It's disgusting. It needs to be stopped.
Isn't black an absence of color?
You know that. I know that. Okay. It's hell.
White is
Even if
every
you.
color in the rainbow.
Yep.
Black is
Yep.
black is the absence of color, right?
Oh my God! You're saying that white people literally are the colours of Benetton. Oh God.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Oh, that's terrible.
terrible to be inclusive. That's why you got to get rid of the whitest among us. We'll start with the redheads. They're soulless anyway.
If you kill us, all that will do is make us stronger. Sorry. I would have it there. Okay.
You're already a soulless zombie. What's the difference to you? Sorry.
And I'd like it noted, I am not soulless. I have several different souls. Thank you very much. None of them are mine, but I do have them.
Oh, I'm sorry. My headphones cut out. I didn't even hear what you said. I was looking forward to it.
What I said to you, mate, was I'm not soulless. I've got several in store. None of them are mine, but I still have them.
I see.
So you can stop calling me soulless, thank you. I have several.
Okay, I'll stop calling you soulless. Multi-soul. See, multicolored. See how it all works.
Yeah. No.
The diversity. He's the diversity hire for the show.
Oh my God, that's actually a horrifying thought. And technically, no, dude.
Gotta admit that's pretty
Technically,
good.
do you realise that I am actually an Aborigine? You're going to be sitting there trying to work that one out, aren't you? No, I am an Aborigine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because an Aborigine is literally the first people on the land, and redheads were the first in this country. So I am Aboriginal. Thank you very much.
Okay, and what do you tell say the people like me?
Shut up, you're Russian, and before you start,
I am
yes,
not Russian.
America is Russian. It was the Mongolians that found it first. It's bloody Russian.
Come on, you gotta understand something.
What?
That we were here first. We were the Neanderthals. Come on.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, all right, I'll accept that. All right, fair point.
Yes, I called myself a Neanderthal. Tall, if you want to talk about it.
From Matt, Nomad is clearly Jewish.
Well,
You know that's
I
never
do
going to be
wonder.
forgotten.
I do wonder. Well, I'm not going to make any comments. By the way, for those who don't know and you're wondering why I haven't been around for a while, all right, I basically had a wedding to attend to, and the wedding, believe it or not, Sherardi, was actually in Michigan. I was thinking about trying to cook up with you guys, but the reality is it was so busy at that time there was no way I could do anything, right? But it was just north of Detroit in Troy, Michigan.
Hold it. I thought you said you didn't want to go anywhere near Shiraz. Oh, damn. I'm still alive. Sorry, carry on.
I didn't say that, and I didn't even think it, to be honest. It's not a bad idea. You know, cyborgs rule there. I did encounter some things that make Debornistan understandable. Okay. The thing is Michigan apparently is a polyglot of enclaves of traditional sects.
The word, the word you're looking for is dumping ground. That's what we call it over here. Okay?
Well,
Dumping ground.
it's odd because, okay, for example, you know, my nephew was marrying a woman from this area, and so they decided to have the wedding there, and they had a traditional Polish wedding.
Cool.
Right, including, you know, sermons in Polish. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a bugger, but all right.
Well, I mean, it was a beautiful wedding. I'm not going to argue about that or anything else.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a problem with any of that. Okay, but I began to realize what they have are little enclaves of these traditional areas all over Michigan that still hold true to, you know, things from hundreds of years ago. Right? It's still very strong throughout there, so it explains Dearbornistan because all they are is just another sect that's part of the group, another grouping that's there, right?
Fair.
And so because I was always curious, well, how could this kind of thing happen in America? How could you end up with a Dearbornistan? Well, after going to Michigan, I understand it. It's because these people are very, you know, they're friendly. Don't get me wrong, but they're very insular as well. They still have a lot of the traditional mentality that they carry on, and it's very important to them.
Yeah.
So they have all this, which is good, and you know, I mean, it was a beautiful wedding and everything else. But I can tell you right now, going with, I took my wife, four of my kids, or three of my kids rather. The fourth one didn't come with us, right? And the kind of stress level that makes. Now, Jenson will understand this, right? When you're in the military and you're in charge of something, right? You expect people to listen to the leader when they're telling you to do things and act appropriately, right?
Or to use the term by my sergeant, do what you're goddamn told, boy.
Well, yeah, exactly. When you're moving, especially, right?
Yeah.
When you're going from point A to point B, okay, you make sure that everyone is going, everyone's still there, everyone has everything ready, etc., right?
Yeah.
Well, as the father of the family, I kind of fall into that mentality, but the family doesn't listen to me. They're all adults, don't get me wrong, but they don't listen to me, and it's just like the stress that puts on me is unbelievable. Okay? Because you're not listening to me.
Man.
Right? For example,
Hey.
when I tell you we have a very short connection from this plane to the next plane, don't come whining to me when you go, well, I gotta pee now. Okay, but we got less than 30 minutes to get across the frickin' terminal. You stopping for pee, or we're gonna miss the plane, right? This is not a joke.
Yeah.
You think of these things ahead of time. What the hell do I have to do with you people?
Stop complaining. I'm going to turn this plane around. That's it. There's no going back now. Come on.
It's yeah. Anyway. And believe it or not, the flights for the most part went off on time, and they were a little delayed here and there, but I mean, not much, you know. So the flight for all that was fairly straightforward. All right, it wasn't that bad. All right, but which is good because you know that would have just added to it, but it didn't happen. It was more or less like that. Now, the flight attendants who kept hitting me with the cart, and I swear it was intentional. I have less less good things to talk about, but aside from that, you know, it's just you know, like with the military, when you have movement orders, right? You get prepared, and you're prepared 12 hours, 24 hours even before.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, this the last minute throw things around crap.
No. No, just I'm actually seriously, at the very thought of that, I'm shuddering. No.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that.
Okay, time for the rant.
Yes.
Muqtada Sadr, Iraq's political and religious force. When he raises his index finger and frown, Iraq holds its breath. The mercurial Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, has yet again shown his strength in Iraqi politics, able to mobilize his loyalists with a tweet. On Monday, in a short message, he announced his definitive retirement from politics and the closure of all institutions linked to his movement. Shortly thereafter, thousands of his supporters mobilized, storming the government palace in Baghdad's fortified green zone and prompting the army to declare a curfew. Look, folks, you wanted to hear, for those who are here for the rant, I'm going to go off. We had the chance to shoot this son of a bitch in the head and kill half of his followers, to put a point on this. This kind of shit would not be happening now, if we had been allowed to do our damn jobs. You people on the in the politic realms and you assholes in the State Department are the responsibility for this bullshit. This guy has been a bad guy from word one. He makes deals with Iran. He was backstabbing us at every opportunity, and you sons of bitches were busy trying to make deals with this bastard. How many more Americans are going to end up dead because of the stupidity of you idiots making deals with this stupid son of a bitch? And yes, I mean that.
Yeah.
You're dealing with Iraq. Iraq is 60% Shia. When you have a cleric working with the Shia elements, all right, across the border in Iran, guess friggin' what? You're looking at Iran taking over that entire area, and more violence, more terrorism, and of course more stupid Americans being killed. This stupid son of a bitch, we had this son of a bitch. We had him corralled. We could have frickin' ended this crap.
Just want to say, every death that is caused by that man is actually goes on the blame of the idiots that stops you guys from doing your job. Just want it said.
This is a bad guy. This is an evil man. This guy is a wannabe Khamenei. Okay? So you understand who this stupid son of a bitch is. And we could have gotten rid of him. We had the opportunity to make an example of him. We made an example of Saddam. Why are we so afraid of making examples of pieces of shit that are just as bad, if not worse, than Saddam?
Mm-hmm.
You people out there who don't understand the serious nature of what you're dealing with these idiots. They are a frickin' 12th century mentality now with modern weaponry. Congratulations. And you Saudis, enjoy, because you're a part of this too, you bastards.
You're not wrong.
Rant over.
Well, all I can say to this is, should have shot him in the head when they had the chance. Shoot now, apologize later.
We should have blown the freaking Golden Mosque to hell and back. Let me tell you something right now. When there were opportunities upon opportunities to deal with certain situations. One, all right, we could have bombed, and this is what I would have done. I've said this before. When we had that uprising, the second uprising, I'd allowed the first one, but the second uprising that happened in Fallujah would have ended like this. You ring the city, right? Just like we did, and then you bomb it with B-52s, all right? And then go, look, all the people who survived, guess what? Here's your freaking shovel. Start digging out all the dead people because you got a job to do. You're going to be burying and building this city forever, and we're going to have military guards with freaking machine guns standing over you. We're going to tell you where to live, where to sleep, when and where to eat, and you're going to eat whatever we give you. Okay? And you're going to like it. And you're not going to see your women, you're not going to see your wives, because they're going to be in another camp and basically doing the same shit, working their frickin' asses off until they learn to act like civilized human beings, not like monsters. And you all get it through your heads what's going to happen the next time you decide to do this. But we didn't do that then. So then you have the Golden Mosque incident. Okay, you ring the mosque and say, you've got 48 hours or the mosque ceases to exist. Okay? Well, you're going to make martyrs of them. They want to be martyrs. We're going to give everybody what they want. We don't have a problem. And you put it live on CNN. You put it live on Al Jazeera so everybody watches us blow it to hell and back, right? And then you see them using American forces ordering these people to dig them out.
Something to say to you there, mate. Can you imagine how much the leftist heads
Okay,
the
rant wasn't over. I apologize.
I'm
sorry.
Just seriously, can you actually imagine how much the lefties would lose their living mind over that?
It would.
Wow, that'd be so cool.
It would. But it would have. It's what's necessary. It's
Yeah.
not that I take joy in this. It's not that I sit up there and are saying this because I want that to happen. All right? It's because it has to happen in order to fix this. Otherwise, you don't have a solution.
Hmm.
These people are not what you think they are. They are not going to sit up there and come have a come to Jesus moment. Okay? They're not. They're not
No.
civilized. Okay? They don't take their ideas of civilization the way you look at civilization responsibly, and they never will.
Hmm.
You have a group of people that would, if they're told to, will put a bullet in the head of a child, a 5-year-old, and believe that they didn't commit any sin because they were ordered to do it, so therefore it's not a problem.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed, folks. That's the mentality of all of that culture. All of them. You want to sit up there and talk about the Nuremberg trials where the Germans were running around? Well, we were told to do it. We were just following orders, and you don't want that as an excuse. This is a group of people that believe that it is.
Yeah.
An entire society of the Islamic 12th century society in that region in the Middle East, that is how they believe. And you're going to say, well, you disagree? What are you going to do about that? Okay, rant's kind of over.
I like the fact that you put the attachment of kinda.
Well, I didn't expect to continue the rant, to be honest.
You obviously need to get out your system. I absolutely support you, and in all fairness, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready for the next story?
When you are ready,
This
sir.
is right up your alley. This is more up your alley than it is mine. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Go on. No, but go on.
Fans are outraged by the House of the Dragon opening credits fail. Well, fans asked for it, the show delivered, like it or not. Many fans were outraged by the premiere episode of Game of Thrones spin-off House of the Dragon. It kicked off last Sunday, sans opening credits, especially the goatee I don't know how to say that, right? Featured with such iconic title sequence. Now, for the second episode, they're finally here, and many fans are, well, underwhelmed to say the least. The credits of House of Dragon, which follows the Targaryen, is that how you say it?
Targaryens, yes.
Right, family, around 200 years before the events of Goatee, whatever the hell Goatee is. All right, he used the exact
Game of
same.
Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Okay, same song that was used for Game of Thrones credits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The visual while the song plays is a depiction of blood pouring through a model of old Valyria.
Yep.
Valaria. Okay. So the sequence is pretty heavy-handed. Obviously, this story is going to get bloody, and it doesn't even bother using the original song. Wasn't Game of Thrones pretty bloody? Am I missing something here? I didn't watch the show. All right, so I was not a thing.
Yeah. Now I have watched the Game of Thrones and watched the new one of House of the Dragon. I'm going to be honest with you, everyone. It's not that bad. I mean, are there woke moments? It does feel that way, yes. But in all fairness,
I'm getting some coffee, so I'll be right back.
yeah, go ahead, mate. In all fairness, okay, it's actually not that unreasonable. After all, this is a different world, a different time, so to put it bluntly, certain things are not actually completely unreasonable. In all fairness, I've watched both episodes. There is a single black man that has rank. Currently, he's, without going into too much in the way of spoilers, he's about as trustable as a paper hanky in a hurricane. Okay? I'm being honest. I wouldn't trust him if you paid me. But it's not that bad.
Are you saying
And
he's
if you-
French?
No, he's not that bad. Good God. Oh no, if he was French, you'd have heard nothing but horrible about this.
Oh, is that how that works?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
But the show is actually halfway decent. And I'll say one of the main characters in it is a young girl. She's a blonde white girl. Oh no, that's right. So was what's her face from Game of Thrones, the Queen of Dragons. They're not doing anything unreasonable. If you
They're
if
not
you get
doing
the
anything
urge,
unreasonable. They're not having sex in front of everybody
they've not actually had sex.
yet.
Well, I'll rephrase that. There was one section with an orgy, but there's actually been pretty much no sex.
No sex
This is,
except for the orgies here and there.
dude, if you ever watch Game of Thrones, you'd know what I mean by that counts as no sex whatsoever. Really.
Well, I haven't seen Game of Thrones. So you're right.
Oh, it was bad, dude. That seriously, clothes fell off them like leaves in autumn. I'm telling you, it was
Well,
something. I don't know quite what.
the thing about this is the thing that bothers me about a lot of this crap, right?
Yeah.
Like your Game of Thrones, again, all this other stuff, is the fact that the only thing that people think about, all right, is the sexual innuendo and sexual aspect of these storylines, right?
Yeah.
The whole mentality, all right. You had one of the greatest literary artists ever created on the planet, was William Shakespeare, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you read his storylines, okay, yes, everyone remembers Romeo and Juliet, but if you read all the rest of them, how much were sexual innuendo? How much was sex even a part of this? It wasn't. Okay, don't get me wrong. There were hints in the background to a small, very low extent, though. Right, most of it dealt with the human mentality and interactions. Okay.
Yes.
With each other, all right, and how violent those interactions actually were within the quote-unquote genteel set. Okay, that was the commentary that Shakespeare, the almost always the underlying commentary with Shakespeare's stuff, right?
Yeah.
The which is great. All right, I don't have a problem with that. But nowadays, whenever you see stories when they want to talk about, the kings and queens of the elder age, they're always prominently always going to talk about them sleeping around with someone, so on and so on and so forth. Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only thing these people think that they did.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything else is a subset of them having sex with somebody else. That's not how people interact. That's not how people are. No, yes, we are sexual beings. I'm not going to deny that. There's that aspect of humanity. I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist. But it's not the only thing we are. And yet it seems to be in all modern theater the only thing that they present. And when I had heard about Game of Thrones, and I'd heard about, like you were saying, that it was everywhere, right? Was one of the reasons why I have no desire to watch this, because it's going to be stupid. To me, it's stupid.
All right, I'd like to give you my opinion here, and this is what I'm about to suggest is basically impossible, but nonetheless, I don't think it's unreasonable. What you actually need to do is watch Game of Thrones and not watch the air quotes porn scenes. The story itself is actually halfway decent. The acting, etc., is pretty damn good. It actually was just the sex scenes that ruined it, really.
So in other words,
weren't bad,
there's a 15-minute cutout that we can watch and everything would be good?
I think it's 15 minutes? Wow. Actually, you're not wrong with that. But if they ever do a air quotes censored version, give it a go, mate. Seriously, it's worth the effort.
Oh, Sherardi has just sent me something.
Same here. Yep. Here we go. Oh, that's going to be fun if that happens.
Well, we'll see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the FBI whistleblowers are going to do anything, to be honest. They're too terrified of their bosses. They're too terrified for their jobs.
I just want to respond to Darkstar. Yes, he is attempting to pimp out his daughter. I mean, quite simply, sending her to visit the king at night. I don't know. There are subtle hints there that maybe I'm just not spotting.
I assume that
maybe
this is part of
they're
the
too
show.
subtle for me. This is part of the show, yes. I'm just responding to one of his comments. It's ridiculous. And Darkstar, have you watched Epi 2 yet?
Let me go into something else here.
Yep.
Okay. That most people don't seem to it's there, but they don't understand it.
Yep.
And that's this. The the idea of having families marry into other families, okay, to strengthen the bonds between nations and so forth. All right, this was a real thing. But it was a real thing because families care about one another. Okay? Just because you're a king and your sister is married to someone over there doesn't mean you don't care about your sister. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a look at how it's always portrayed, it's always portrayed as if they had, that they had no agencies and that they didn't care about these people or anything else. Right?
Not even vaguely.
All right? I mean, am I wrong?
No, dude, I absolutely agree with you. The way people treat this stuff, it does my head in. It really does.
All right. And going back to what we said earlier, or what was just said there, the guy's trying to pimp out his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Why is he trying to quote unquote pimp out his daughter? All right, because it's all for himself. All right. If that's the case, then it's not realistic to me. Okay.
Right. First off, I don't think it's for himself. I think it's for the daughter's grandchildren. The idea is he's trying to get his family interconnected with the royal family. And in all fairness, that's how shit was done back in the day. Okay. Say what you like about modern attitudes, etc. No. The way it was done was son of X and daughter of X get together, have kids, families come together, everything's good. There's probably usually a war within about 15 minutes. But, you can always pretend there's no war.
Well, it depends
I
on
know
how
this.
strong.
England,
It depends on how strong the kids are. Okay, let's be honest.
England tried this shit several times with France. It just
But
didn't cut much ice, mate.
yeah, but it's like I said, it depends on how strong the kids are, because the kids are the
True.
ones that are the only ones who can make it work. Okay.
That is true.
All right, and so it depends on how strong they are and how strong the grandchildren are as they're being brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Batman.
Hail Hydra.
Ave Dominus Hydra. How you doing, man?
Not too bad.
Good.
I hear there's an American trying to understand non-American things.
No, I'm not trying to understand it. I was just letting Jensen talked about this, and he wanted to talk about how the Game of Thrones prequel, I guess is what it is.
Game of Thrones.
Is not as bad as everyone was concerned that it would be.
Everyone thinks of it as basically being another modern woke pile of crap.
What you mean, like the rings of the rings of power?
No, I'm backing the hell away from that. No, it's actually halfway decent. In fact, it's actually 3/4 of the way decent in comparison to Rings of Power. But then again, I think of Rings of Power somewhere in the same region as a boil on my testicles.
That's going to bring Tolkien back from the grave, that show.
I hope so. Just so no, I'm being serious. I hope he does, just so he goes in and kicks all their asses.
As a revenant.
I am totally cool with this.
So, I haven't seen either one. I have no intention of watching either one.
No.
And like
you should watch, Nomad, because you would probably like it. It's a show called, it's completed its 3rd season, For All Mankind.
Can't say I've heard of it.
It's set in an alternate history where, for reasons I'm not going to bother explaining because I don't really know them myself, the Russians get to the moon in 1969 ahead of the Americans.
This. Yes, I've heard about this. I agree with Batman. You should give it a go, mate. Remember, we was originally going to actually do a show based on What If.
But it has a couple of repercussions. The Americans do get to the moon. Neil Armstrong. But the only thing I disagree in the show is when Armstrong lands on the moon, he nearly crashes. Armstrong was far too good of a pilot.
Well, it depends on what you mean by nearly crashes.
He nearly crashes, literally, nearly crashes.
Because he nearly crashed when he did go to the moon.
No. The landing computer nearly crashed. Armstrong went manual and saved the mission.
He did go manual. He did save the mission. He went outside the specs of the mission to do it.
Yep.
He didn't need to do that.
Just one.
In his
Hold it,
opinion, he did.
Uh,
He was there. You weren't. So
I agree. I don't disagree with you there. That's something I totally agree with. Batman is correct. All right.
Yeah,
I'm just going by
yeah.
a
Anyway,
armchair quarterbacking kind of a
Yep.
situation.
the repercussions of the stinking commies. Sorry, the Russians.
Stinking
whoa,
commies.
hold it. I agree completely with Darkstar. You could power all the UK just by harnessing the energy of Tolkien spinning in his grave. He is not wrong.
Yeah,
Carry
we'd be
on,
called
sorry.
God Emperors of Energy if that were the case.
Damn straight.
No, if the repercussions are because the Russians, the Soviets got the moon first. The American space program never dies out, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, they used all the technology that was used back then and stuff that was on the drawing board that was never used, like the Sea Dragon. With a rocket so powerful, they had to launch it in the ocean.
What about the nuclear engines?
Yeah, they have nuclear engines in season 2 in the 80s.
Yeah,
And in season 3.
For people who don't know this,
the
let
other
me interrupt you
repercussion.
just
Hold
for a
on.
second here, Batman. Just very quickly. For those who don't know, the United States did develop and test on the ground a nuclear engine. All right, it was it was so powerful that they had to test it upside down in the vertical because they had no braces strong enough to hold it. All right, in a horizontal position. Okay.
Yep.
It works.
I mean, there is woke elements in the show, but that's to be expected these days.
Yeah.
You can't escape that at all. But the acting is brilliant. The characters are brilliant. One of the other repercussions is the Soviet Union does not fall even into the two because season 3 leaves off in I think it's 2001.
All right, cool.
But season 3 was all dealt with the mission to Mars as well.
To be honest, if it wasn't for the Challenger thing, people keep telling me that we would have already been to Mars.
No, we'd wound down a hell of a lot from space exploration before the Challenger thing.
The fact is
all
the
we
shuttle
do is
was
orbit stuff.
Yeah, there was the interest in space had waned to such a degree. You got to understand this. Challenger happened because of people being stupid. Okay, but the problem is that it was with a system that had known limitations, right? And they had gotten to the point where space travel, people were seriously looking at space travel at that point as if, it's something that's out there. We don't care about it because we can do it whenever we want, right? It's blasé. It's already past its prime. We don't care about it anymore, right?
Which is stupid because in a real world situation, if we don't invest in space travel, improve space travel, and actually become, at least in the solar system, a spacefaring species, we're doomed.
Oh yeah. Now, I'm asking you two because you were around for this. No, this is not an age joke. I actually have heard that a lot of the boosts NASA got was literally because of Star Wars. Not because they were copying it. It's just that people were so into space travel
No.
because of Star. Oh, okay. Go on then.
The boost NASA got was Apollo 11. Star Wars didn't happen until 1979.
I know.
77.
Hold on,
76, 77.
Yeah, 77. Hold on, Nomads. By the mid-70s, the frenzy for space travel was starting to wane.
Yes.
Astronauts had once been superstars. They were now they're just guys in the military. By the mid-70s.
I would like to respond to Shirati here. Shirati, you're not going to die. You're just going to have all of you replaced bit by bit until you finally become a robot. Deal with it.
Actually, no, it's worse than that. We're gonna send her to Jupiter. She's going to encounter this giant obelisk and come back as a space baby.
Now that's horrible thought. Oh, yeah. No, that's horrible thought. Actually, funny enough, that film proves how useless humanity is. We were supposed to have been that far by 2001. No, actually, we were busy lobbing planes into each other.
Yeah, we could have gotten that far by 2001, but politicians get in the way of stuff like that. I basically just said that you're going to become a goddess, Shirati.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea of her getting more than 20 foot off the ground or going to space.
Well, we could bring it to her.
I was thinking we'd build a really big catapult and give it a go.
I'd say just integrate her with the ship systems. Anyway,
Shirati 9000.
Oh, don't do that.
I'm not opening
could you imagine her?
I'm not opening the pod bay doors for you, Hal. You haven't told me you love me.
The Shar 9000.
Yeah.
No, the Shaz 9000.
It would actually be a case of, no, Dave, you can bugger off, as she shouts at the poor guy. I mean, this is going to be a dude sitting in a spacesuit with his own crap floating around his face. All right, I'm being serious.
The Shar T9000 series.
Open the pod bay doors, Shaz. No, Dave, you haven't brushed your teeth this morning.
Anyway,
don't you talk to me in that tone of voice. I'm not your slave.
It's time to move on.
Yep.
Air France suspends pilots after mid-air disagreement. The altercation happened in June on a flight between Paris and Geneva, and the pilots have been removed from active flying.
Hold on. Important thing to say about this article.
Who cares? It's French.
It's Air France. We don't care.
It would have if it had landed on your house. All right, two pilots.
Not really.
One
I'd
of the
be
world's
dead.
Largest airlines. Well, not if you weren't there. What if you were out shopping? You come back and your house is blown to hell. The cat's gone. Everything's bad. You know, all the things have happened.
Then I become a millionaire because I'll be suing France, and so would my housing authority, whose house it is.
Yeah, that's probably true.
We'd both be winners. Air France would be losers. Yeah,
it's Air France. They're already losers.
Gone.
All right, two pilots with the world's largest airline have been suspended for following an in-flight altercation. The two Air France pilots face corrective action after reportedly coming to blows in the cockpit of the flight to Paris. The incident occurred on a flight between Paris and Geneva in June and was quickly resolved. So did it hit the ground? That would be the fastest resolution. All right.
It's technically a landing.
All right. According to the local news, the pilot and the co-pilot of the Airbus 320, that's a huge airframe. That's a big aircraft.
Another thing I've got to say here. Any landing that a French person can walk away from is a bad landing.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Had a disagreement that turned into a physical altercation mid-flight. The June incident became physical shortly after takeoff while the plane climbed to its cruising altitude. Although the cause of the altercation has not been confirmed at press time, the two men reportedly took each other by the collars and potentially hit or slapped each other before the noise alerted fellow crew members. One pilot's version of the events indicated that an inadvertent blow led to an escalation of aggression.
I actually know what happened, if you all want to know. The captain turned around to the co-pilot and actually said, do you know what? I think I'm going to have some cheese. And the other guy lost his plot. Okay, they've started arguing about cheese, and as per usual, the French went to a slap fight.
You sure it wasn't more along the lines of, no, that stewardess is mine? It's my turn to be up front?
No. They're French. It was that steward is mine.
Well, okay.
It's actually a fair point. But if anything, it's the captain. The pilot turns to Batman, one sec. Pilot turns to co-pilot, I surrender. Co-pilot turns around, no, I do. No! And then they start a slap fight.
That's more like Air Italy.
No, they just run away from each other.
That kind of reaction is the kind of reaction, I mean, let's face it, that's not the way men react to each other, especially doing something like that.
No, there obviously this.
They'd wait till
I'm
they
telling
got
you
on.
this. Yeah, I'm telling you
No,
this
no,
is
no.
this
Hold
is
on, hold
this
on.
is
Your
weird.
typical guys, like non-French guys, would wait until the plane was landed, they'd gotten out of it, and was somewhere private. Then they'd beat the hell out of each other.
Generally, yeah.
And then probably buy each other a pint.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what the Brits would do.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we generally used to do in America, assuming, of course, that we shoot one another.
Yeah.
There is that option as well in America. You just have to understand that it exists, right?
Oh yeah.
Are we ready for a Babylon Bee story, you two?
Oh, awesome. Yes.
Yes. Let's consult the oracle.
Consult the article. Thousands dead after Ben Shapiro casually strolls through a Whole Foods store.
Oh, that. Yeah.
What?
Authorities
Yeah.
responded to a level 5 event in Boca Raton Friday after Ben Shapiro casually strolled through a Whole Foods store, resulting in the deaths of thousands. The popular political commentator and founder of the Daily Wire had a hankering for some peaches when he stopped by earlier in the day, says survivors who witnessed the horrific event. He walked in like it's no big deal, like he wasn't a Jewish face of white supremacy. Wailed Julia Lacrosse, a 23-year-old twin spirit dragonkin who had been shopping for her cat. I could feel it in my bones that I was being triggered, like he was raping me just by being on the other side of the store. According to sources, hundreds in the store that day dropped dead as Shapiro walked by them. Others fled the store in panic, but their escape would only be temporary. Whole Foods was the only epicenter that turned out to be a massacre along a 3-mile radius. Chaos spread down the streets of the once peaceful city. Distracted drivers pancaked into one another, driven by a maddened panic that invaded their hearts. Metal tore through flesh and bone, glass shattered. There was a great cry throughout Boca Raton, such as was not like before or ever since again.
He's literally wrath of God, and God technically is him.
Whole Foods has since apologized for the incident with a heartfelt tweet in which they stated, "We're very sorry. Ben Shapiro briefly visited our store to buy some food. Though we do not control his actions, we take full responsibility for the thousands of lives lost." The manager of the Whole Foods on Fifth Avenue has since been hung, or has since hung, appropriate signage on the building to warn that a triggered event had recently taken place there, and their situation, or the sanitation rating, has also dropped to B.
Wow.
Okay, I guess I must have missed this in my time away.
I mean, this is parody, right?
Yes. This is
But the attitude they're parodying is, it's rabidly anti-white, correct?
Anti-conservative, anti-white comes into it.
Yeah, that's getting to be horrifically the norm.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then that's
I'm saying in 10
and-
years' time, all white people will have to wear a yellow H on their clothing. Yeah, H for honky.
No, it'd be C for cis, and you know it.
Cracker.
Yeah.
I don't think. All right, first of all, I don't know. Was there an incident that happened at a Whole Foods when Ben Shapiro walked in there?
No, apparently he was supposed to go and visit a some sort of like new conservative meeting, something like that. And apparently the whole place was absolutely shut down because shock horror here. Lots and lots of lefties outside screaming, "No more Ben Shapiro" and shit.
You know, the funny thing about Shapiro,
Yeah.
physically, he kind of puts me in the mind he could be like William Shatner's illegitimate son. He has that look about him.
But the only thing I would say is, if people actually realise that he's only got one eyebrow, he shaves it every morning. To get to it. He does. Come on.
Yeah, well, Jensen, so do you ever since you got bitten by that odd-looking dog?
Yeah, well, we don't mention the werewolf problem. Uh,
Don't give Maddie
Uh,
any further ideas, folks. She's looking
Hello,
for
Chris.
superpowers.
God. Yeah, that's only because she'd be running around biting people to see what would happen.
No,
that-
apparently she's going around antagonizing insects at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll bite her.
After her
Ah.
successful treatment for cancer, she now glows in the dark.
Yeah.
She did that anyway.
Well, that's a separate issue.
She's a very bright woman.
Oh, really?
She is. I can't
Hey,
argue that.
hey, hey, a dad joke and a compliment. Beat that.
That ain't bad, mate. All right. I would accept that challenge for a later time.
Are we ready for the next story?
Please do.
I'm telling you, these stories are just. There's just not a lot of news.
Oh yeah,
They
I've got to come clean, people. I'm not a good person. I'm actually transphobic.
You hate trains.
Yep.
Sake brewers building brand cachet by cultivating bespoke rice crops. What the hell's a bespoke rice crop?
Well, bespoke means specialized, individual, and I assume you've had sake.
Oh, by the way, speak of the metahuman and she will appear.
Timing.
All right. Japanese brewers are gaining visibility by cultivating their own rice crops using local grains to promote the unique characteristics of their regional sakes amid a surge in popularity of the rice wine overseas. The change is unusual as sake breweries, normally procure
Hold on,
rice.
you've got it wrong. You got it wrong. It's Japanese. It's not rice. It's lice.
Anyway, raw rice from farms around the country. In early July, workers at the Shibata Brewery Company removed weeds by hand from rice paddies adjacent to its brewing in the mountainous region called Kanzu, literally God's water, on the outskirts of Ozaki in the Aichi province or prefecture.
Yeah.
Right. Last year, the brewery founded. Now, I don't know. I mean, I guess I've had sake before. I've had rice wine, but I'm not a wine. I'm not
English,
a wine. I'm not a wine person, so I don't really know how good it.
Me and Jenson are English, so we're used to it because we're always sake.
You really are getting your digs in here, aren't you, dude?
Oh yes.
All right, but now sake is. I didn't realize that there was a resurgence in the popularity of sake. All right. Then again, I'm not into. I'm an American. We drink.
Generally,
we
Western
drink
people
piss
who-
water. I mean, come on. We drink Budweiser and Coors.
Don't admit
Generally, Westerners who drink stuff like sake, pretentious idiots.
Yeah. To use the term the Japanese prefer, otaku.
Do you think that it has to do with the fact that the Japanese culture has been spread around the world and that little
By
ospreys
pretentious
have been-
idiots.
Well, no. I mean, well, I don't think.
I mean, these
you
also.
think you think otakus are pretentious idiots, or do you think that otakus are just otakus?
I just call them pretentious idiots. I mean, these people. They're also called weebs.
Yeah.
They love Japanese culture, yet know nothing about it.
Oh yeah.
The amount of times I've had arguments with people who, a samurai could take his katana and chop a medieval knight from head to foot, even if he was wearing full plate armor.
Good luck with that one.
And yeah, samurais could move faster because their armor and gear was a lot lighter.
Their armor was lighter, but the reason
it wasn't pound for pound, armor and equipment, they were slightly heavier.
Well, if you take all the different accoutrements on them, but they didn't go to war that way. The thing is Japan was very, very metal poor. All right,
yeah.
And so the reason they didn't have sheets of armor like you see in the medieval knights was only because they didn't have enough metal for that crap,
or enough money.
True.
A medieval suit, yeah, during the height of armor smithing in medieval Europe, the cost of a suit of full plate armor would probably be about the same as the cost of a high-end sports car now.
That's true.
It was also an equivalent level technology as well. It was ridiculously well researched and well made.
Well, right,
Yeah,
You could-
but it also was generational, right? You
Yeah.
could you could
Yeah.
you
Oh,
could
yeah,
hand
no,
these
it's
things
handed
down
down.
through generations, and it would survive. Well, as long as it was taken care of, it
no.
would survive.
No, because suit of armor was literally made to measure, and it was
Right, but you could. But
it was even more difficult to adjust it for somebody else than it was to just make an entirely new one.
well, but you had the material. Was what I'm referring to.
Yes.
The problem
Yeah.
in Japan was the fact that they didn't have enough metal. They had barely enough metal for the swords. Okay. So to even attempt to try and do something, if you want to understand
I mean-
how resource poor when it comes to metal the Japanese
That's why they
When-
folded this steel. It's also the technology they had to work with.
Yes.
You've got to give them kudos because
Oh,
they
yeah.
had to fold the steel because they couldn't get the smelters hot enough to basically burn out all the impurities. That's
Right.
why they
You've
folded
heard-
the steel.
You heard the same thing as me. Cool.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
the other thing about
Not like
this,
in Highlander where they fold the steel and it makes it stronger. No, it doesn't.
After-
it really doesn't.
after the Meiji restorations, many people, many enclaves of Japanese came to the United States. Okay, and these enclaves were absolutely the people in there were absolutely shocked that Americans literally had food tin cans, right? And they would just throw them away after they were done eating them. They literally for that generation would go and collect the cans that Americans were throwing away and re-smelt them down to make nails and everything else because metal was so precious in their minds. Now they became
Maddie's asking
became
if she
Americans
just-
later
done
on.
it.
Maddie's
Already on
asking if she can just
Already on
hop
it?
in.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
in. There's no.
I said, just pop into your Discord.
Welcome, Maddie.
yeah.
Hi.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, meta-human Maddie.
Do you got that?
Thank
Do you
you,
got
thank
that? You got that third eye on your forearm yet?
Yeah, no, but I am Captain Forgetful, so
Yeah, like I said earlier, I hear you're going around and annoying insects in the hope that they will bite you and give you superpowers.
No, she's hoping that they'll bite her and to become a super mutant.
Yeah, no green skin, no manipulation of any element. I think I got gypped. I really do.
Oh, that's not fair.
It's
Hey.
Then tomorrow you're going to realise you're sitting there on the throne, realise you're out of toilet paper. You can't get up, and you're going to actually stretch your arm into the into the cupboard where you keep the toilet paper, aren't you?
Mm.
Just imagine how cool it could actually be if she, like you said, she's on the loo, run out of toilet paper, etc. And then she summoned a toilet roll and it literally just appeared in her hand now.
Just so long as she doesn't end up with silvery glowing eyes, a la Lieutenant Gary Mitchell.
Oh.
When she does
I
that,
did
it'll
have-
be about the time I'm reaching for my toilet paper. It's like, "Doop, gone. What the hell?"
I did have the ability to amaze and crack up my oncologists and radiologist technicians and stuff. And even the intern for one of them because the brachytherapy you have to put yourself in a compromising position. Not going to go into details, but I'm sure imagination will work wonders.
Yeah,
So,
right. You've got me caught-
my
you've got me
female oncologist radiologist person had a male intern, and when he was standing there looking at me with my feet in the compromised position, I looked at him and said, "We really have to stop meeting this way."
See, I thought when he said caught in
Nice.
compromising position, I thought that meant that you had to be photographed buying Class A drugs.
Mm.
That compromising position that you're talking about, just think about it when they're doing a prostate, because that's what they do with prostate. Only they're just shoving in needles, 18 to 30 of them.
Yeah, the time to worry, Nomad, the time to worry is when you go for your prostate examination, and as the doctor's putting his hand up there, he says, "Oh, do you know I'm actually a ventriloquist?"
Now I did get him because he left the room, then he had to come back. I was getting dressed, getting ready to go. He goes, "Is it all right if I go back in there? I forgot something." I said, "It's not like you haven't seen pieces of me. Most men haven't."
This is a fair statement.
I'll just give myself a thought, a slightly comedic outlook on the thing, right?
Mhm.
Imagine if it escaped, right?
Yeah.
and it's in New York, right? It's hiding in like a late middle-aged man. It goes for a prostate exam.
Ooh.
Yeah, it starts to develop teeth.
Like I said, ooh.
No more like ah.
In all fairness, Batman, do you really think the Thing is so stupid as to go to New York? I mean, really? I wouldn't go to that place,
It
even
would
if
be
I
the
was.
easiest place. It'd be the easiest place to take over.
I know. Actually, I disagree with you. I actually disagree with you strongly. If you want the easiest place to take over, you actually go for a small town on the outskirts, and then you spread.
No.
The easiest place for him to take over would be Louisiana, because no matter where you go, there's always water by you.
Is it actually true? Yeah, that's not unreasonable.
Actually, no, we're all wrong. The easiest place to take over would be Southern California, because let's face it, nobody would notice because people are way there anyway.
In all fairness, if an 8-foot monstrosity was walking down the street, coming towards you, my entire reaction was, watch out, there's some crap on the floor over there.
Yeah, most
being
Americans
fair.
would be running up to him to try and get his autograph because he's obviously in the NBA.
That's the difference between the modern generation and our generation, no matter. If an 8-foot tall monstrosity was walking towards you, killing people as it came by, we would run away, right?
To try and get more ammo, yeah.
Well, let's say you've seen the bullets of the police just bounce off it harmlessly.
Yeah, we'd be leaving.
Yeah, the modern generation would be getting the phones out and recording it.
True.
You know, actually, you mentioned this. I've actually seen a video. Okay, his family goes into a zoo because just standard family day out thing, and a camel comes over, takes a sniff of their kid, and then basically swallows his head.
Yeah.
And the family pull out their phones and watch. They video the whole thing.
Yep. And have you
That
seen
was
what
horrifying.
Darkstar's just put in the chat? Yeah, that's worth mentioning.
He's not wrong. Anyway, sir. Other stories.
You ready for the? Well, I still want to explore this thing about the Japanese and the Japanese sake.
Okay.
It's I realize it's a type of rice wine, right?
Yeah.
Is it strong?
It's supposed to be.
It is if you do it properly. 10 seconds and you drive.
Yeah, it's apparently approaching like spirits in strength, which is amazing because people of the Far East, on average, their bodies secrete a hormone which makes them a lot more susceptible to the effects of alcohol than other populations.
Now, I assume that when you're making wine, you have to mix it with some kind of yeast. Is that correct, or do they just they just assume that it's just going to go on its own and ferment?
It'll be yeast and stuff like any other fermentation, I should imagine.
Right. I've never explored wine making before. All right. I mean,
I think they've got to have Japanese rats pissing it as well.
I don't think. I don't think they have rats pissing in the wine.
Oh, they can't make a good cider then.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
See what you got blogged into there, Maddie? I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. I've been on Pat's streams. They're worse.
Yeah, mind you saying Americans drink piss water. I've noticed something. It's very prevalent in London, that the parts that aren't Muslim controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like so 2 places.
Yeah.
Jenson's house is the first one, and yours is the second. Is that what you're saying?
I don't live in London.
Oh, okay, so it must be somebody else.
I'm English. But
you're not English, you're Scottish.
No, I'm English. More English than you French bastard.
Screw you, Jack. I actually said this earlier. I'm more English than you. I'm Aborigine, thank you. I am one of the
go back to Australia.
People. Yeah, you missed this section of it, Patty.
Actually, no. But yeah, I've got no Anglo-Saxon blood in me, so I'm more Aboriginal than you.
Oh boy.
Either way, what we're saying is it's you get
All
areas.
I'm hearing is, I'm more white than you. No, you're not. I'm more white than you are.
It's
I'm
okay.
an albino. Fuck off.
That's
I'm a redhead.
it,
I win.
it doesn't matter. I
got
precede
the
you
red
all
gene.
because I'm a Neanderthal. End of story. I win. All right.
No, you're not. You're not even. Yeah, you're not even a Homo habilis. What I was trying to say, you get areas like the southeast, particularly in London. The beer is warm, flat, and realistically speaking, it's got the alcohol content of a baby's sippy cup.
Yeah.
You generally find in those places, beer is not as popular as it is in places where they actually brew the stuff. They tend to drink spirits.
Yes.
I
we
do
do.
have another. I do have another question. Now that you mentioned beer
Go
and
for it.
stuff, do you guys
And I'll-
drink beer cold like we do in America, where everything
we do up here.
put refrigerators on and everything?
I can answer that with two answers, and both of them are accurate. In the past, no. Nowadays, yes.
It's all
Basically, we was, like Batman said, we was very much a warm beer type of people.
well. You were.
Whatever.
No, seriously. You in the southeast
fair.
were.
No, actually, he's right.
It's also because of industries as well. Beer up here has always been served as cold as you can get it. That's because most of the industries up in my part of the England were the heavy industries where even in the middle of winter you go to work and you're going to be sweating a ton.
Oh,
Steelworks, shipbuilding, down the pit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you come out of work. First place they used to head was the pub, and you don't want something warm.
No. By the way, Batman, you actually said down to pit. Just so you know, you literally went Yorkshire.
Hey, by gum.
I don't know if you meant to. In fact, I expect you didn't intend to, but you
No.
actually went Yorkshire. It was quite cute. Or given the fact that we're talking about Japanese stuff.
Don't worry,
Hawaii.
Maddie. I'm as confused as you are when they do this stuff.
Well, cool, blimey, lava duck.
I was like, all I know is I was having a discussion in another server about where we were all from, and they said, "Hey, Maddie, how about you?" So my parents are from Cuba, and I'm from Miami, which is a suburb of Cuba.
It is. No problem.
It's rapidly becoming one, yes.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to anyway. You, being with your connection to Cuba and Miami, I am curious, what is defined as the island off of Florida? Now, I'd make that point because there's an absolute F-ton of them. So what do they mean by the island? Any idea?
If it's a Cuban mentioning it, it probably means Cuba, because they don't, very few of them call it the homeland. And when they say off of Florida, they're talking about 90 miles south of Key West, which is where Cuba is.
Yeah. Now, funny enough, that's what I thought, but this is the first time I had the opportunity to ask it. So, all right, okay, it makes sense. Because that was actually something that was in one of Nomad's earlier streams, because I sat there making jokes about Snake Plissken and Escape from...
Do you know what amazes me about the whole Caribbean?
Go on.
During the 19th century, especially, it's quite surprising that America did not annex the Caribbean.
Royal Navy. That's actually why. Royal Navy.
Why? That's part of the reason.
That's not why.
That's
Yes,
part
it is.
of the reason.
No, it's not.
Actually, back in the 19th century and even in parts of the 20th century, the Royal Navy really did outclass the American Navy.
Oh, that's very true. All right, but you guys had no interest in the Caribbean.
We did.
Not really.
That's still
The amount of
land.
the amount of sugar plantations we had over there and other stuff.
But sugar in that region was very. I mean, you could get sugar anywhere, really. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, like Jamaica and other British colonies.
Oh, you had
colonies.
I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm not saying you didn't have colonies and so forth. All right, but the thing is the interest for the Royal Navy all right, was so varied. Sure, you had a small interest in the Caribbean, but overall, in comparison to the interest of the British Navy in other regions, India, for example, the Middle East is another example, far outweighed anything that you had even worried about with the Caribbean. And quite frankly, Americans, whether people believe this or not, we have not been as expansionist as people have thought we were, as people have claimed that we were.
I would agree with that, yes.
Guys, I'd like to interrupt just for a sec. I want to respond to Darkstar.
Hmm?
I'm about to say something, and you're not going to believe me based on the name, okay, mate? But seriously, have a look at things like Bishop's Finger, or what is it, Ferret's? I think it's Ferret's Tail. They are
What?
really, really strong and good ales.
One
If you-
time I would have said Newcastle Brown Ale, but that's no longer brewed up here.
I know, that's
No,
why I
you
just
deserve-
put it.
That's my favorite beer from over there.
It was mine.
It's a brilliant bottle. I love that bottle. You can do serious damage to people with that. I mean,
Yeah, the best way to damage somebody with a bottle of brown ale,
yeah.
don't open it. It won't break.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. That thing is an absolute beautiful weapon. You belt 7 bells out of the person that's annoying you, then you pop it and drink it as you walk off. It's brilliant.
Mhm.
I don't drink. No. I do not drink the stuff. I will never drink the stuff. I can't stand it. Sorry, dude. But
Yeah,
as
that's
a
no problem.
weapon, it is amazing.
Okay,
10 out of
so
10.
here's a question, because we have a public house over here in Minnesota that has Finnegan's, and I tried it, and I particularly like it. What do you guys think of it? Have you had it?
Never had
Never
it.
had it.
Never
And
had
I
it.
would like to say thank you, Aaron. It's Thirsty Ferret. I knew it was Ferret. I just couldn't
Hello,
remember.
Aaron.
I haven't tried either of those, and I haven't tried Finnegan. I do like Guinness, which I know is Irish, but
Yeah.
I used to.
It's hard to get a lot of the Irish stuff, at least in Minnesota, because they have to have it shipped over. And the last time we had gone to the pub to eat, they didn't have 2 of the ones that Mom likes to drink. And the lady cracked Mom up by saying, "The boat hasn't gotten here yet. I think they're drinking it before they get here."
Here's a funny one for you, Jensen.
Go
I
on.
mean, I used to drink dark beers, right? My favourite was obviously Newcastle Brown Ale, like I said, but I used to quite like McEwen's Best Scotch, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is before you say anything, Nomad, that's a beer, not a whiskey.
okay.
No, it's quite weird.
Yeah, it's because it was brewed from a Scottish recipe.
Yeah.
But I mean, a friend, we went down to Payton for 2 weeks summer holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the beer so crap, we ended up switching to lager.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I like lagers. I like some ales. I don't like IPAs because they're way too bitter for me, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Do you-
IPAs are very bitter.
Do you know what the Germans hate about the English more than anything?
Mm.
That you
Go on.
exist.
Even in the the second thing the Germans hate about the English more than anything,
That's better. Yeah.
even down south, we brew better beer than them. Even light beers, like the lagers, are better than the Germans.
The Belgians brew better beer. The Czechs brew better beer than the Germans do. All right. Now, granted, when it comes to, well, you're an American, everybody's better than you. Okay, I'm not going to argue that.
Actually, no, I've got to stand up a bit.
Well, that depends.
I do like, it's not that strong, but I do like the taste of stuff like Colt 45, for example. It's got a nice taste to it. It's not a strong beer. It's not something I'd drink if I wanted to get drunk. Neither is Coors, neither is Budweiser, but they have a nice taste.
It was like here, it's like now, it's especially up here in the Midwest. I've noticed that there's a lot of craft breweries
There
up
are,
here
but that's recent.
with very excellent beer, and then they make this beer that's been brewed with some wine in it, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. No, the craft stuff's fairly recent, though. You have to admit that. I mean,
Yeah, it is. It's
One-
fairly
One
recent.
thing I really enjoyed from Scottish and Newcastle breweries when they used to be in the northeast for their centenary, like their anniversary, they got this recipe that had been found in an Egyptian tomb, and they brewed it.
Does that really
it was
shock you?
absolutely gorgeous.
Mm.
Does
What
it
a
have
shock.
honey in it?
Not.
No.
Probably.
No.
Oh.
It was an Egyptian beer.
Well, I
Yeah, I
understand
know.
it, but I would have expected that they would have mixed it with a bit of honey.
No.
Yeah.
Then it would have been mead.
Yes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well,
To-
mead is
to
either
be
beer or
honest-
wine, so yes, you're right.
To be honest with mead, it's a lovely little mix of the two things. The moment you start adding the honey, it's heading towards it. It all depends on how much you end up adding.
Honey
to be
is a
honest.
very much a staple, really in that from the Egyptians. They put honey on everything almost. They used honey that was very much a part of the Egyptian, mainstay of their society.
Oh, talking about honey, I was on Clippers United last night, right?
Aye.
And they're doing the job game, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to apply for a job, right? And answer questions. So one of the questions is, what would you tell a young child about bee stings? And I'll put for my answer, nothing. What I'd do is I'd sit there and watch him laughing whilst he's using honey as a sunscreen.
Oh,
I
God.
actually know somebody who used butter as a sunscreen. Start laughing now. They seriously, literally cooked themselves
Fried.
alive.
I know
It
somebody
was
that used
hilarious.
to use. I know somebody that used to use olive oil.
I
Never understood it.
Oh.
Dark Star, the reason why the Newcastle isn't as strong is because since it's not being brewed in its native town anymore, and most of it's being brewed here in the U.S., a lot of the major brewers in the U.S. have restrictions as to how much alcohol per volume their beer can actually have.
Yeah, and breweries like you get in the US tend not to actually use hops and stuff, but chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the
Which
other
is
Now,
thing
why-
make
is they force it to be pasteurized as well, which adds to it as well. So
fair.
Mhm.
Now to make myself hated by all of you, I really can't stand any of the pint glass drinks. For me, it's spirits or nothing. Sorry.
Well, that doesn't bother me. That's each to their own.
No, okay,
Well,
good. A lot of people really get upset at the idea. What do you mean you don't drink? I do drink. I just don't drink pints.
Oh,
You
you
don't
no,
should see the
understand.
you should see the looks on faces when I say I don't like wine.
Yeah,
I am not a wine drinker. I'm a
I
beer
hate wine.
drinker. I like my rum and I like bourbon.
What about cider?
It depends on the cider.
Or I should say, because you're American, hard cider.
Yeah. I classify hard ciders way up there with the wine coolers of the 1980s.
Oh no.
They're all right, but they're not that great.
Cider is like it's like an art form in the UK, isn't it, Jensen? Who's gone silent?
We've lost Jensen. Oh no. I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, it's like,
Maybe
you know, I,
Well, unless we're lucky.
I mean, it recently because of the Irish pub that we go to over here in Minnesota, Ronan has introduced me to a very expensive sipping scotch. And when I say very expensive, that shit is aged.
Yeah.
Now you sounded like you were from the Old West there. It's a sipping scotch.
It's a skipping. They have this. They have this called the Bible, and when you ask for it, it's literally a book that lists I don't know countless numbers of bourbons and scotches that you can order at a half pour or a full pour. And the most expensive one they have in the menu is $90.
Hello, Shaz.
I like wine. I like wine a lot.
Oh,
I have
that's
no
good for
pro-
you. I don't
I
like
have
it.
no problem with this. I don't like it. More for you.
All I know is if I'm having a hard time sleeping, then give me a half a glass of dark red wine and my ass is out in 10 minutes.
Yep.
You're a lot more likely to get hungover with wine than you are with any other spirit.
Sorry about that.
Now you can speak, Jensen. Very good. Welcome. Welcome back,
Yeah,
Jensen.
thank
Welcome, Sherardi.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said, Jensen, about cider?
No, I made the point. I heard that you said you should try cider. Then it went quiet and everything died.
Oh, so did you?
I said that in the UK, cider's kind of an art form.
Oh, if you ever want to talk cider, have a little chat with Magic Bollocks. That's the man to
Yeah.
talk to about that.
Yeah. Oh, that was when we were doing our recruits card. We did it in Oldcampton, right? And you got lads from all over the UK there, right? Some of them were from companies in Newcastle, right? They were the hard drinkers, right? And they tried the Scumpy.
They were the hard drinkers.
Yeah. The thing is about Scumpy. It's supposed to be cider, but it's got a weird thing about a liquid. It's lumpy.
Yes.
What?
The description I've heard for it is it's made from cider. Sorry, it's made from apples. Well, mostly. That says so very much.
If you get the proper stuff, it's about as strong as it's almost like drinking a pint of whiskey.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S., when they say hard cider, it's like maybe, if you're lucky, 5% alcohol per volume. I know there's alcohol in there somewhere, and if I drink enough of these, I might get a buzz. But then again, maybe not.
Well,
it's all flavor, no liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the thing. That's the thing about Scumpy, though. I mean, you can smell the apples. As you went to the bar. Even I can. I've got no sense of smell.
Yeah,
it tastes heavily of apples, but even Klingons who were used to blood wine would get smashed on a pint.
Yeah, when you use, and Jensen will back me up on this, when you use the term hard drinkers, when it comes to the military, that's an entire different mentality. When you talk about the people who are hard drinkers.
I am talking.
I'm not talking about the people who go out there and just get drunk. I'm talking about the people who are like, we had a crew, and they would start off each, all right, with a 12-pack, and then they went downtown.
Yeah,
right?
That's about right.
Yeah, but you're on
my
about
dad. When people ask me if my dad was a beer drinker, I said, "Let me put it to you this way, and you can describe it any way you want." And they go, "Okay." I said, "You can literally sit him down at a table, blindfold him, have 4 different beers in front of him, and he can tell you which one's a Hefeweizen, which one's a lager, which one's an ale, and which one's an IPA."
Yeah.
Nice.
But Nomad, the thing is, you said 12-pack. You're on about an American 12-pack.
Oh,
yeah. We could give that to kids and not worry.
No, I'm actually going to defend him here. A lot of my lot were actually the same. They would basically drink before going out to the pub to have a drink.
Yep.
They would basically drink enough to knock out most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
It is.
A horrible thing is, Jensen, when I was a kid, when I was first going out drinking, that was the case of people up here anyway.
Fair point. I think from what I remember, now remember I'm saying this before they went out drinking, right? They would, I think the average was between 15 and 19 pints.
Yep.
How their bladders didn't explode, I have no fucking idea.
It's because you don't buy beer, you rent it. You drink one, you pee 6.
Yeah.
This is a fair statement, and Nomad, I sent you a lovely picture of a bottle of Scrumpy. It's in your DMs.
Jensen, the thing is, people who drink a lot, it stretches their bladder.
That's fair.
Also does things to their liver. I mean, when I because of the amount of drinking I've done in my life, when I die, I'm going to leave my liver's going to have so much cirrhosis. I'm going to leave it at the local chip shop, fried chips in it.
I remember my second husband. I'm a lightweight. I will tell everybody, I'm a lightweight. Doesn't take much alcohol or beer or a mixture of the two to start getting me tipsy, let alone drunk. Okay. We were at a convention. I was with my second husband. Somebody said, "Hey, if you let me put my stuff in your hotel room, I'll give you this 6-pack of Rolling Rock beer." Now me, the lightweight, who after about, I would say, 3 lagers is starting to be tipsy, drank 5 of these Rolling Rocks and went, "So when does the tipsy start?"
Wow. And, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll be blunt. Okay, if I'm just drinking for sheer, as I like to put the term, it shits and giggles, it'll basically be Jack Daniels. If I really want to actually have a drink to get drunk, I'm just saving time and going straight to absinthe. It's
Mm.
easier.
That
So
stuff's
I
terrible.
think
Oh God, how
I
can you drink that stuff, Jensen? That
Well,
stuff's terrible.
Amazing.
my cousin's husband there, when it comes to beer, he likes it something called Old Speckled Hen.
I've heard of that.
the
Yeah.
strongest spirit I've ever had was when somebody gifted me a bottle of 10-year aged spiced rum as a congratulations when I had some jewelry put in a display case in a mom and pop's jewelry store. Now, when I tell you that was the best rum I have ever sipped in my life, I am not lying. My kid was like, "Aren't you going to mix Coke with that?" Paul, you do not mix Coke with 10-year aged rum. The most you do to it is maybe 2 ice cubes, or
And you
you
feel
stick it in the
guilty
freezer
about
Right.
and
that.
chill it.
Yeah.
I've got
Or
one
you
that can beat the lot of his story-wise.
Go on.
It's when I was at school, right? What we call comprehensive school over here, which is 11 to 16, or it used to be. My headmaster, because I was constantly getting sent to him, constantly not doing my homework, and being an arse. He said if I passed my final exams, he would give me, he would share a bottle of whiskey with me. I passed my final exams, and he come up to me, when we're getting our certificates handed out, and he goes, "I want to see you in my office." Oh, fucking! Because I'd forgotten all about this. He was going to sit down. He puts 2 glasses on his desk, pulls out this bottle of 10-year-old whiskey, and we got absolutely plastered.
Nice.
Yeah, our schools
Nice.
weren't quite like that. At least not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was.
Nowadays, if that happened, you're walking off with a sore ass, and you know it.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. I wouldn't trust the
thing is, that headmaster, they called him, his surname was Vout. He's a kind of guy, even if you didn't like him, you'd respect him because he was quite conservative, right?
Okay.
But if he said he was going to do something, he would do it. If he said something was such a way, then to the best of his knowledge, he was speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And
on that note,
he
let's go to the next story.
he gives the staff more trouble than he gives the pupils.
Yeah. Survey shows gay men cutting back on sex to avoid monkeypox.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I start to think my whole thing about with the teacher and walking off with a sore ass isn't actually a bad.
All right, a survey.
Hold on, before you go on, our survey says
Unintended segue, sore ass to a gay guy story. This is interesting.
Welcome to our normal stream.
A survey conducted by American gay and bisexual men in early August found that half are saying they've cut down on sexual activity, including one-night stands and app-based hookups, in response to the global monkeypox outbreak. The survey, conducted from 5 August to 15 August, was led by Kevin Delaney, a monkeypox emergency response team, or of the monkeypox emergency response team at the U.S. Centers of the CDC. All right, these findings suggest that men who have sex with men, are already taking action to protect their sexual health and making decisions to reduce the risk to themselves and their partners.
My brain, I swear to God, you said monkeypox emergency response team, and now I'm picturing people in hazmat suits running around with bananas.
Well,
I'm actually picturing.
You laugh
picturing,
about this, but if you look at this picture, look at this guy with the freaking mask.
I'm actually picturing Jean-Claude Van Damme from Outbreak.
All right.
Oh lordy!
I mean, this picture pretty much says it all.
That red
Step
thing
away
sticking,
from the rear, and nobody will get infected.
see, that red thing sticking out that red thing sticking out the out the other guy's face. Is that a clear indication of monkeypox?
Man, I so much.
What?
I hate you so much.
Why?
It's okay. A lot of people
Because
do.
you make me think of the dumbest things at the dumbest times.
Good.
Well done, dude. Well done.
Thank you.
No, it's okay.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
You think of the dumbest things ever, right? According to the UPI here in the trending section, just to read this to you, you have Zoo Escape Drill, Artemis Launch, Yellowstone, Serena Williams' dog. Now, what the hell's going on with Serena Williams' dog, and why should I care?
Who the hell's Serena Williams?
Tennis player.
Yeah, very
Oh.
very good, very famous tennis player. She
has a
best
good
player.
personality, which means she's ugly as sin, and she can play tennis really well.
Let's be honest. Her
Oh,
sister.
She's not that famous. I never heard of her.
Her sister is uglier than she is. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be judgmental, but Venus Williams.
God had to bless him with something because looks just were not on the repertoire.
Oh, but as far as
Dark Star, no, it wasn't a Babylon Bee, mate. It's actually
Hold
true.
on. I've got to Google this Serena Williams.
Yeah, Serena
Oh,
Williams
don't do
is she created a product line and everything else. Apparently she took her dog with her to the U.S. Open.
Mhm.
All right, and it's busy watching the U.S. Open from the sidelines. Like who cares?
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at a picture of.
Breaking news there. Dog
Yeah,
watches tennis.
I'm looking at a picture of Serena Williams, and I've got to say, he's not a bad-looking bloke.
Head. Dog goes to tennis tournament. Head moves in unison with rest of crowd as ball bounces back and forth 20 million times. Woo.
Okay.
Now, if the
I'll
dog
give
ran
you-
out onto the pitch or whatever it is they call it on the court, right, and grabbed the ball, that would be something. You
Well,
know?
that'd be
No,
exciting. That would be exciting.
guys, no. If you want excitement, it's when the dog runs out on the pitch and grabs the ball, and you realise it's an all-man team. Which ball did he grab? Oh, that's gonna wince. That is gonna leave a mark right there.
Mhm.
Can you imagine going to see a tennis match and some small little dog like a Chihuahua come running out there, grab the ball just as you swing to hit it back?
Look,
No, but
I was watching a short the other day. Apparently, there is somebody out there that had crossed a dachshund with a
Mhm.
chihuahua, and it's called a chiwiener.
Oh my god!
Now,
Wow.
the video short I was watching was of this blind surfer. The guy's hilarious. He said he was walking and met the guy that had a chiwiener, and he said he asked to pet his chiwiener. I'm like, that can be taken in so many different ways.
Oh yes.
I am glad he showed the dog. Otherwise, that would have been a rather awkward video.
Oh, Dark Star is asking if this is a Babylon Bee article.
I know, I
no,
already said. No, it's not. It's a real thing. It's disturbing.
no, I just can't understand. It just shows you that what they're going for news right now. There's just not a lot of news stories that are
No.
truly interesting that are out there today. I mean, I've had to try and invent things. Although I did find one that there's one final story. We have one final story that I'll get to a little bit later.
Yay.
That's actually it did catch my eye. I must admit this. Right, but no, there's just no news right now that's out there. It's just I realize
There
this
is. It's just been suppressed.
well suppressed by who? Is Putin running around suppressing the news?
It's been suppressed by them.
Exactly. You know them.
The giant ants
Everyone
from the
knows
desert.
them.
Yeah, the giant ants from the desert.
Let's be honest. Half of the leftists probably believe that them are actually a million different Trumps taking over. You know.
Yeah.
this.
I still like. I still want to spread that conspiracy theory that I've been trying to get off the ground for years
Go on.
now.
Go on.
Well, my conspiracy theory is this: that everything you see, what you see of the world is actually what it is. There's nothing special, right? There's no aliens. There's no secret cabal trying to take the world over. There's no lizard people. There's no hollow earth. Yeah, there's no hidden bases on the moon. But this kind of thing, modern people with boring life generally tend to have boring, repetitive lives. That's why all these wild conspiracy theories start, right?
Yeah.
So to combat this, the NSA have started placing agents in populations all over the Western world who are spreading these conspiracy theories to give people a spark of interest and excitement in their lives.
The disturbing thing that sounds reasonable.
Pardon?
The disturbing thing, mate, that actually sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
And by the way, there is a way to make tennis more exciting. Replace the ball with a hand grenade. I'll just let you think about that for a few moments. Oh, I've got messages.
What with an unstable trigger, so that any moment it's going to go off when you hit it.
I was playing nice. I was actually going to suggest swapping it for a bottle of nitroglycerine, but I realised people might get concerned at that. Let's be honest. Nitroglycerine might not explode if you drop the bottle. Equally, it could just as easily explode as you carefully put it down.
I've got another way to improve it. The tennis players have to take a version of LSD which doesn't stimulate aggression, but it really triggers wild hallucinations.
Or as Darkstar would say, we need more John McEnroes.
Yeah. Oh.
I hate to say it, but he's not wrong.
Oh God, Darkstar's aging himself with that comment. Yeah. I used to love watching McEnroe playing, shouting at tennis.
The Brat.
Yeah.
They call him the Brat.
Yeah, there was a British duo did a parody song called Chalk Dust about John McEnroe. Yeah, the ball's not in; it's a goddamn lie. I think, yeah, and I'm going to call my lawyer, and I think I'm going to cry.
Oh, I have a really good suggestion for marathons. What you do is every 10 minutes you got a dozen snipers killing off the back row. You watch them run. Then you are going to get 20-minute marathons. I'm telling you, people are going to start seriously running.
I've got a better idea.
Oh,
yeah, you start them off on the marathon, right? Yeah. Then you surprise them by introducing the Mongol horsemen you've hired.
I don't disagree. I do like this idea.
But they're not going to be running that fast, because if you're going to do something like that, you at least got to give them a sword to defend themselves.
You don't need a sword. You use the guy next to you's leg. Defend yourself with that.
No, if you give them a sword, they're going to turn around and try to defend themselves. This way, they're just going to run faster.
Well, I mean, if they try to defend themselves after being run down, I mean, that adds to the entertainment. It's still entertainment value, right?
This is true. This is true.
Anyway. It's either that or you unleash a horde of hungry lions that have been starved so much that they're not going to run much faster than a human.
Dude, I've been suggesting people release wild animals into London for ages. Okay, sorry, mate. This is like a common thing here.
And football, or as the Americans call it, soccer. Great way to improve that game. Get rid of the foul rule.
I've suggested that for already. I mean, that was you guys. Yeah. They blow on one another and they fall over, holding their leg as if it needs to be amputated, and then 10 seconds later they're up running full speed and sprinting.
And also allow the use of melee weapons.
Yes.
But no bladed weapons.
I'm okay with this. Now, just imagine how exciting soccer would be if you had chainsaws.
Chainsaws are crap weapons.
I know, but they're really, really terrifying to see.
No. Just imagine how interesting soccer would be if the ball itself was remote controlled by some kid with ADD.
The way half of them play it is.
What?
Well, that's true.
But, Sean, releasing wild boars in London, most of the population wouldn't leave the house because they're Muslims.
In all fairness, Sean, we wouldn't have a fit. We'd just go out and get dinner that day. Okay?
You do that anyway.
This is also fair.
So bringing wildlife in public brings up the final story of the day.
Awesome.
Alligator on a leash surprises parkgoers in Philadelphia. This woman took her gator. This is her emotional support gator for a walk.
Someone did it.
This is a 5-foot alligator, and the alligator's like, okay, this is cool. Look at that. You got to give the alligator credit here. I mean, the alligator gets to this point and says, this is cool. I'm just going to lay down right here. Watch.
That's not an emotional support animal.
Okay, you don't want me to go? Fine, I'll just lay right here. How the hell do you get an emotional support gator?
That's a don't talk to me person.
how the hell do you tame a gator to begin with? That would be my question.
She sat on it until it gave up.
Give it to this neighbor, that neighbor, feed it to the neighbors, or feed the neighbors to it, rather.
Feed the neighbours to it, yeah.
I mean, good God. Now, who approves this? Who approves when you have an emotional support animal? Who in their right mind approves? Yeah, I really see that you really.
Oh, I'd do it. I'd approve it.
Oh my God, there goes the neighborhood. Becky brought her emotional support gator to the park again. Now the kids can't play in the fountain.
You didn't, but you didn't see the video where it's catching a frisbee.
Where's little Johnny?
Why is your gator gotten fat?
Yep.
Oh, it's like when I used to work at a convenience store many years ago, over, I don't know, 30 years ago. We were having this discussion about the Barney show, the Barney Kids show. And the assistant manager asked me, why don't you like the show? I said, number one, the main character is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's go over this. It's a carnivore, and it's purple. Dinosaurs were many colors, according to archaeologists. For some strange and glorious, miraculous reason, they weren't purple. I digress on the color. However, they're carnivores, which means sooner or later, Barney's going to get hungry and kids are going to start disappearing, and that's when the show's going to become interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So she goes, now you're not giving it a fair share. So when the new season started, and there were 2 new kids, and they didn't know where the other 2 kids disappeared to, I went, see, he got hungry, and now they have a cover story.
And we also highly suspect that Barney was a minor attracted dinosaur.
Sean, my mom was trying, Sean dear, my mom was trying to get Paul, when he was a toddler, that was my son, to sing the Barney theme song, because when I was a kid, I drove her nuts with the Rubber Ducky song from Sesame Street. So what I did was I sat with my kid and I taught him a different version of the Barney song.
Oh,
so
that is cold-blooded there, man.
Of course, a couple of days later, Mom said, can you sing the Barney song for Grandma? And Paul went, I love you, you love me. Will you share a joint with me? I got, Anissa! What? I taught him the song? She goes, that's not the version, you smart ass, and you know it.
I thought it was going to be the other version. Which starts instead of I love, it's I hate you.
I love you, you love me. Let's learn about homosexuality.
They're bringing that out next week, apparently.
Oh, and we're back to the monkeypox story. You thought that was bad.
Yeah, the male voice choir of San Francisco. We're coming for your children. You're not giving them monkeypox.
I'm sorry. The second that appeared, how at least 2,000 Americans didn't rack their shotgun and go on, try. I'm shocked.
They did.
No, I would absolutely believe that. I really
It wasn't
would.
just the song. It was the smug, shit-eating, you can't touch us grins they had when they were singing it.
Yes.
You just wanted to take a baseball bat to their faces. And I'm on about a baseball bat that's been made of aluminium and has had razor blades welded to it.
Aluminium.
You Americans, that's aluminum. Just translating.
I know.
You know, and I've tried to explain to these stupid Brits that it was fine when you created it. They were the, believe it or not, the discoverer of aluminum was a British.
Aluminium.
And he named it aluminum.
He made it aluminium.
Right? He named it aluminum, all right? And then the Royal Society of Britain changed it to aluminium for them. No, it was aluminum. The discoverer named it. Leave it alone.
No, it was a stupid name and we knew it.
Yeah.
Also,
So we changed it.
I inadvertently started an argument a long, long time ago on Twitter between my Brit friends and my American friends because I was talking about the theater. Now, the only way I have ever known the word to be spelt is Theatre.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's the American spelling.
My American friends were like, no, it's Ter. It's Theater. That's theater. I said, no, it's Theatre.
Yeah.
Where are you misspelling this from? And about 4 of my Brit friends went, she's not the one misspelling it, you are.
Neither of you, neither are misspelling it. One's the English spelling, one's the American spelling.
In other words, One's the English spelling and one's the correct spelling. It's real simple.
Wrong. No, you're saying
Wrong.
It's
you're
and if you
incorrect.
don't
It's
believe me,
pronounced wrong.
it's ER is just like center is CENTER, not CENTRE.
Yeah,
Uh,
ER. No,
hold it. No, guys, hold it. From Omegon, was the fault of a Canadian scientist that aluminium is known as aluminum. See, you're following the Canadians. You bloody Frenchies.
He was British.
Oh yeah, man, I'm Cuban. I'm immune. I'm just.
I know.
confused.
No, you're
I don't
safe.
like-
She tries to hide.
Maddie, you can only get out of this by saying something in Spanish.
Arriba, arriba, yeah.
You're not
Hola,
Maddie.
señor de murciélago. ¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, okay.
No, but my thing is, I can go through. I love going through Colorado, and I love going through California because every time we saw when we were living out of the semi a name in Spanish, I'd start giggling. Ronan would go, "What's the translation?" And I would tell him, and he'd start laughing
Omegon's
because
come up with,
you know there's literally you have because it sounds great in Spanish, and then the translation's like, okay, why'd you name it that? Because I think we were passing Paloma, California. And they were like, he goes, well, that's it. I said, well, yeah, that's Spanish for pigeon.
Omegon's come up with another good one. He says, and we have both spellings for centre. Depends upon the context of the word use.
Yeah.
And that's something I've automatically done all of my life, and I've never noticed it.
No, you don't, dear.
I mean, a sports centre, ends in RE, right? But the centre of the earth is ER.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an automatic thing. I totally agree.
Well, it's like the first time I saw the state Colorado spelled out, I asked my mom what color the state actually was. Because Colorado is Spanish for colored. I'm like, okay, so is the whole state one color or?
And if Americans hated France as much as the English, that state where the show Fraser takes place in, you'd pronounce it as Seattle.
It's like one of the most expensive places to live in Florida is called Boca Raton. That's Spanish for rat's mouth.
Wow.
Maddie, you're driving me crazy with your Spanish.
We had a story earlier about Boca Raton, didn't we? Of course, it was a Babylon Bee story, but that's a separate issue.
I'm going to be serious about Maddie's Spanish pronunciation for a second. Only for a second. But somebody who speaks Spanish naturally, the words and the language just sound really nice.
Yes.
As opposed to somebody who's learned to speak it.
Yeah, I agree there.
I have been asked if when I used to do the news, if when I read something in Spanish, I do it on purpose, or if I'm, if I consciously switch, or if I'm doing it just to, do it. And I'm like, no, if I see something in Spanish, my brain automatically reads it in Spanish.
You can
it's
tell.
It's just the way, I have always, I've always done it. And they're like, oh, okay. I said, that's why sometimes I giggle, because I know what it means in English, and it's just absolutely fucking like flat-topped mountains. Everybody calls them mesas. I'm like, they're pronounced mesa, and then you're calling it a table.
Yeah, that's how I've always called it. I always called it a mesa.
Yeah.
Mesa.
Which is Spanish for table.
When we were talking about them in geography, that's what I was calling them in geography. No, they're called mesas. No, it's mesa. It's a Spanish word. Because my dad was a prolific reader of westerns, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I got that from.
It's called mesa because it's an American word, because we're Americans. Period.
No, it's a Spanish word. Because you're actually Mexicans.
Well, now we're Mexicans. Well, wait a few years and you might be not, and it might be more true than not.
Sorry there, dude.
They do estimate that about 25% of the entire Mexican population, the Mexican citizen population, actually lives in the United States.
Look, here's something that'll...
The real reason Americans don't like Mexicans is because they're suffering from hat brim envy.
No.
Yeah.
The reasons we don't like Mexicans is they haven't asked to be a state yet. Okay.
Wow.
Mhm.
Am I wrong, mate? Am I wrong, Manny?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
More
you're
like
not wrong.
more like is a Texan telling me how Texas got into the union. Yeah. Apparently, yeah, Texas. According to this guy, Texas didn't ask to be part of the union. The union asked to be part of Texas.
They-
It's not actually that far wrong. It was more of a, you are going to do this. Oh, okay then.
Well, in actuality, the real history is Texas asked to be part of the United States, and the United States said no frickin' way.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, they were their application was rejected. So for a number of years, all right, they were their own nation state until we had another state come in. All right, and I think was it Maine? Petition.
Possibly. It was
I
up
think
that
it
area.
was because it was part of the okay. We'll let you come in as a slave state because we have another state as a union state coming in. That's the
And
only
you know
reason
what the
that
main
Texas was allowed to
mistake-
come in.
You know what the main mistake America made, don't you? They let them back. They got rid of them while you had the chance.
I thought you said. I thought you were going to say that the main mistake we made was the fact that we left the British Empire, like you normally say.
Yeah, why? That's one of the
George
mistakes we made.
Lopez had the
Mhm.
best joke about this because he said, if you want to build the wall, what you do is you hire all the illegal Mexicans to build the wall. And when they're done, you take a step back and you go, it looks really good from this side. I wonder what it looks like from the other side. And when they go to the other side to look, you slam and lock the door.
Yep.
That's not a bad idea.
And then brick it up.
I support that.
Yep, that's what we need to do in Scotland.
I support that too.
Are you telling me the Romans had the right idea about the Scots all along?
Yes.
Yeah, the funny thing is the Scots weren't even a thing back then.
They were. You just didn't know.
No, they weren't.
No, they were Lowland Highlanders.
The people who became the Scots hadn't even left Ireland then.
Is there a movement? I heard there was a movement that they want to rebuild Hadrian's Wall. Is that true?
Well,
Yes,
yes.
I have heard this. I don't
And
know if it's
I've got a GoFundMe to get bricks.
I know how we do it, Batman. What we do is you get all the muzzies, send them up there, and we do exactly what they suggested to the Mexicans, including the, oh, I wonder what it looks like from the other side.
Yeah.
And,
the home-
according
and
to
the homeless Scots.
George Lopez, FEMA stands for Find Every Mexican Available.
Yeah. The Scottish government is so progressive, forward-thinking, cares so much about its citizens. You know what they're doing now?
Oh, God.
They're kicking out all the homeless Scots and sending them to England.
No, we did have a governor of New York sit up there and tell all 5 million registered Republicans that they should leave the state.
Damn.
Yeah, how much money would New York State have lost if that had happened?
Oh, a ton.
Well, most of it then.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that'd be like if every freaking conservative left California because they got sick and tired of the bullshit and moved somewhere else. I mean,
Well, hold on. You mean both of them?
Actually, I'm actually going to defend New York now. I know this is unusual. New York State is actually a halfway decent place. It's New York City that needs a nuclear.
It's
cleanup.
not even New York City, really. It's the people in charge of New York City.
well,
Fair point.
look, the people in Northern California, because I talked to a few of them when they had tried this a few years back. That a lot of the conservatives that live in Northern California, which is the majority
Yep.
of the people that live in Northern California, literally put forth a proposal to break the state of California into 2 different states. That way they could separate themselves from the Democrats in SoCal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either.
I remember hearing an idea which I actually support about the UK, because modelled after how the United States have done it. I mean, DC is their political capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
New York is their financial capital.
Yeah.
That's how we should have done it in the UK. Because the idea is to put the political capital of the United Kingdom somewhere neutral,
In
like
the middle.
Isle of Man,
Oh.
What we should
Douglas.
what we
But
should
that would work better because then we could benefit from the Barnett formula as well.
well,
Hmm.
the truth is the United States. What you said is accurate, but what we should have done is we should have separated the judiciary away as well. The judiciary
Mhm.
should have been separated out of the political center, right? And I think
It-
because now it's become so political as a result of the fact that it lives in the political area.
yeah,
The-
officially our judiciary is separate from the politics.
Yeah. Well, officially so is ours, but it's not, and that's the problem. All right, because they all live in
Sorry.
D.C. The Supreme Court lives in D.C. Right.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Well, not actually in D.C. They all live outside of D.C. and basically commute in, but it's the
Yeah.
same thing. You know, if you'd
Yeah.
if you'd put the Supreme Court based in, well, I don't know, like North Dakota, or right, or Oklahoma City, you know, someplace in the middle of the nation, it
Yeah.
would have been
Build a
anywhere outside of DC. It would have ended up I think we would have been a lot better off.
build an actual city that's dedicated to that branch.
Hmm? Something I've heard may or may not
It's
give
not
you
a bad
chuckle.
idea.
North Dakota, the only state even more boring than South Dakota.
No, you're wrong. It's the reason Montana exists is because there was too much boredom in Kansas. I heard that from a friend of mine who, from the days of MS Messenger who used to live in Kansas.
Yeah.
You've heard me talk about him before. He's
Okay.
that guy who was born on a farm. Clark Kent. In the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born on a farm outside of a small town in Kansas. Yes, he did have black hair when he was younger and blue eyes. And he says his parents didn't think when they named him. And
No.
because of that, most of his school days and his college days were filled with fights.
I wonder why.
Right. Like, I'm not saying there's nothing to do in the Midwest during the wintertime. All I'm saying is when I used to make jewelry, I used to get a catalog. People used to submit entries of things and crafts using the beads and, you know, all the stuff.
Mhm.
And they used to have the pictures in the catalog. Well, there was one picture of this leather jacket where somebody in the back had done an entire southwestern motif in these little bitty seed beads. And before, usually my mind would default to that person had no life, but I looked down to the left to see who submitted it, and the person lived in Montana, and I'm like, oh, that explains it. They were snowed in.
Yeah, that might not be the reason. You've never heard of Pearly Kings, have you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the Midwest, when it snows, you have crafting, eating, drinking, and screwing, and you can tell who is doing what by, you know, the amount of either crafts or kids.
Yeah.
She's not wrong, folks.
No. I agree with you.
I grew up on
Batman.
a farm in Nebraska. Trust me, she's not wrong.
These are the observations that I have come up with because I have seen families with 1 or 2 kids, and I have seen families in Minnesota with 5 or 6. And I see the families with 5 or 6 and go, I know what you do when it snows.
Fair point.
Copy image.
Minnesota has two seasons: winter and mosquito.
No, winter and construction, as my dad would say.
Maddie,
Winter and
Nomad,
construction.
look in
God.
general, and you'll see a picture of a Pearly King and a Pearly Queen.
Wow.
Yes.
They're endemic to London.
Oh yeah. Well, no. Were.
Endemic.
Yeah. No, he's not wrong.
You still get them from what I hear, but not nearly as much as you used to.
I had somebody ask me how much I would charge because I used to do chainmail jewelry, so I know how to do several of the chainmail weaves. How much I would charge them to make an authentic like chainmail shirt? I said, well, first of all, I'd have to take your measurements. He goes, yeah. I said, then I'd have to calculate how many rings I would need just to make the chainmail shirt. He said, yeah. I said, then you're not considering the hours of work that it would take to link all the chains. He goes, this is sounding expensive. I said, I'd probably charge you around $4,500.
Yeah.
He went,
all right.
he said, holy crap. I said,
that's about what it should cost. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, when I used to make jewelry, I mean, you know, this isn't hard to believe. they would look at the stuff and they go, "Oh my God, it's really nice. How much is it?" I tell them the price. They go, "Oh, that's too much. That's expensive."
How many? How much of a weave could you do in an hour or so?
Huh?
How many square inches of a weave like that for like chainmail could you make in an hour?
Don't
Well,
weave
I
it.
have been out of practice for years because everything
when you
got
were
stolen when we were.
when you were doing
I
it,
could
I was just
do
curious.
a
Yeah,
quarter,
yeah. Don't weave.
probably doing them, trying to, probably about a half an hour for a square foot.
A square foot?
You
That's
Because
don't.
pretty
when I
good.
get what,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
well, I have ADHD, so if I hyper focus, it goes faster.
Yeah.
Once I get in a
Uh,
rhythm and I'm listening to music and and I go on down the road and I can get it knocked out pretty quick.
mate of mine
Question.
was and still is a LARPer, and yeah, he was also his group's armorer. I've seen him making chainmail. You don't weave chainmail.
Well, what do
You
you,
don't
what
hammer
else?
it.
I mean, what do you call it when you're making
Linking.
No, that's
linking?
fair.
Okay.
Yeah. And Maddie, what do you actually listen to? I'm actually curious.
It depends on what mood I'm in. If I write, if I'm going to actually spend a day working on writing projects, I usually listen to smooth or freeform jazz.
Okay.
If I'm feeling in a happy mood or I'm cleaning the house, it's usually 80s, early 90s music.
Good.
Um, if I'm driving down the road and I have access to, the stuff I like to listen to, I like listening to classic rock and hair bands and some metal.
Yeah.
The one rock and roll genre I can't listen to is like, well, there's two. It's screamo and death metal because I look at the radio like it's possessed.
I think death metal belongs in that musical classification, which is called never listened to.
Right? I also like pop, and I will listen to salsa because that is the music of my people.
What kind? Yeah, any kind of salsa, or do you prefer the alka?
I like
One-
to be serious. I like the classics, which would be Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, that kind of salsa right there.
Does La Bamba fit into that category?
It's more pop than salsa, but it does have a salsa rhythm to it. And what a lot of
Right.
people don't understand is for those of us that are, as old as me or a little older. If you remember the artist Sheila E.
Oh yeah.
She was Tito Puentes' niece.
Okay.
What-
No, wait, 1 sec. Answer to Darkstar. You don't want chainmail underwear. Can you imagine what happens when that catches your hair and you start walking?
you don't want
Ow.
chainmail underwear anyway because it's gonna rip your skin apart.
Yeah, I know, but in all fairness,
Yeah.
the slightest wrong twitch in that stuff, and that is the end of your life, except for crying in your own universe of pain.
You'd have to wear leather underwear underneath the chainmail underwear.
And if you're going to get leather underwear, you have studded leather with studs on the inside.
No.
Jensen is far too familiar with this kind of line of fashion design.
Jensen,
Yeah.
let's be honest here. You don't wear studded leather armor with studs on the inside. It's spiked, isn't it?
I refuse to answer on the ground. On that.
You've already incriminated yourself, dude.
You turned up.
Fair point. Okay.
This going along with his zombie motif is going to be quite an interesting fashion clash, as far as I'm concerned.
You say clash, I say just a more interesting outlook. That's all.
You say motif, I say lifestyle.
Exactly.
When it comes to Jensen.
I've heard that more than a few times. All right. Do you have any other stories? Dude?
No, that was the final story. The walking the gator in Philadelphia.
I still like that. That should have been in Florida. I don't care.
Yeah.
That should have been Florida.
No, because it would be a meth gator then.
That just adds to the fun. Batman, do you have anything you want to chat about, mate?
All I've got to say is, we've reached that time, folks. Yeah, piss off. You've got homes to go to. We don't want you hanging about here anymore. Go on, sod off.
Fair point. Maddie, do you have anything you would like to say to the Last surviving people. Oh my
For
god,
the
we're up to 7. Sorry, Carol.
Well, I am going to do a couple of I'm going to start recording and uploading gameplay to my House of Geek channel.
Okay,
And
what
I'm
game?
already
Actually, what game? That might not be a bad idea to let them know.
7 Days to Die. It's a sorcery overhaul mod, so I'm going to be casting spells and trying not to die, which hasn't worked out really good with this particular 7 Days to Die yet. I am probably in the future going to add different games. Like I am going to probably start uploading some Skyrim content. When I do, it's going to be called Noobtastic Skyrim. Watch me fail a lot.
Modded?
So
Modded?
yeah, that's what.
Are you having
Mod-
mods in it?
Usually when I do a playthrough for the first time, I don't mod it.
Well, not even aesthetic, not even just aesthetic mods.
Mm-mm. Nope.
That's fair. Actually, I
Yeah, because if
agree
you
there.
decide later on to mod it, I would suggest Jesus swords. You get realistic looking swords, like historical swords. And there's also a mod that makes the stupidly over wide swords that Bethesda put in the game into realistic
Ronan,
looking width.
when Ronan has a set schedule, he and I are going to start doing husband and wife gameplay that I'm going to be editing and uploading.
Nice.
And he's also going to be recording because he likes testing out mods. So we also play Valheim, so he's testing out mods for Valheim as well as 7 Days to Die and stuff. And he actually wants to record him testing the mods and actually rating the mods on whether or not they would be actually, viable in the game or if they're overpowered. So he wants to start doing a series like that per game, because every game has modders out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to do that to show people that this mod is good, this mod is good, this mod is overpowered. Because we have run into some mods where you're playing it, you're getting the items from the mod, and you realize how overpowered it is, and the first question in your mind is, okay, there's no challenge here, so why am I playing the game with this mod?
There's a friend of mine plays Skyrim, and he's got a mod that he really likes, and I will never ever download it because what it does, it allows you to pick a custom race.
No, God.
You'll never guess what that race is.
Go on.
Kryptonian.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Lovely.
Yeah. You can basically go toe-to-toe with a dragon without a weapon.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you a good mod for Skyrim. One that turns all of they're called something like Tabaxi, I believe. Turn all of them into catgirls. That'd be fun.
Jenson and his catgirls.
When I mod Skyrim, the vast majority of the mods I use are aesthetic.
To quote, to quote a famous UK television show.
There you go, Jenson.
In regards to in regards to Jenson and his cat girls, the quest is the quest.
Fair point. Catgirls win all the time. I don't care. And I know Shirati hates them. Otherwise, in that case, everyone make sure that you pop in and have a look at Maddie's stuff. Good stuff. Okay, utterly support it. Batman, I know you don't do your own. You pop in onto other people and infect them. And of course, Nomad, he has his own channel, but he does put some stuff out on that every so often. I don't disagree. And to be honest, good stuff. Well, ladies, gentlemen, whatever else you want to call yourself, thank you for coming. I hope you had at least a little bit of fun, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Right. Go on.
Bye.
You heard him. Piss off.